Hey everyone, welcome to our Tuesday talks. I know you have been hustling and grinding all day today, making moves, making money, making your mark on the world, and now the day is coming to an end. So come on in, sit down, let's chat a little bit about relationships. We can take all the success that you've been having in your professional and business life and transfer that success to your personal and love lives. I know we don't like to ask for help or think that we need to hear anything that we have it all together, but sometimes it's just good to come together and see what we're missing sometimes, right? Just to get us over that hump. So last week I stated that this week we'll be talking about some of the challenges that a lot of successful women have in dating and relationships and connecting with compatible partners. And I got to thinking about it and said, there's no way I can fit that into one session in 30 minutes, or even two sessions for 30 minutes. And so I decided just to kind of make this an ongoing thing and just kind of pick the topics based on what's going on, what I have seen, what I'm experiencing, what I'm hearing from men and women. And so today, and just pick a topic just every week. And so today, we're going to start that series off with expectations and having unrealistic expectations a lot of times in dating and relationships and or potential partners. And I decided to start on that for a couple of reasons, or two reasons mainly, because I talk to a lot of women, I talk to a lot of men as well. And when I have discovery sessions with clients or potential clients, it's a deep dive into your dating history, the way that you grew up, what you've been exposed to, the things you've done in dating relationships, the woes that you've had in dating relationships, the success you have in dating and relationships, and the criteria, your requirements, what you're looking for. So it's a deep dive into that session. And if you don't know what the discovery session is, there's actually 3 steps before people become clients at Platinum Connection. So the first session, you all probably know, is the information session that I have that we book. It's about 15 minutes, just kind of letting you know what the process is, the prices are, and about the prospects that you potentially would be meeting with Platinum Connection. So we have an information session. Then our next step is to do discovering sessions. And this is like the meat of the discussions that I have with people, because it kind of lets me know who to pair you with, your potential matches. And I just get a really good feel for who you are. And in our discovery sessions, in the discovery sessions that I have, there is a question asking about what your requirements are of a potential mate. And as you can probably guess, a lot of us have a lot on that list. We can have like 10, 15, 20 things on that list. And it comes to be a little unrealistic. We are trying to create a perfect person. And so at the end of those discovery sessions, there's a post-discovery session link that I usually send out, or that I do send out to people afterwards. Because at the end of our discovery sessions, I always say, okay, you have this list. This length of this list is not uncommon, even it's for men and women. I think both men and women have unrealistic expectations. It just tends to be that their list is a little bit longer than men. Men is like they have like around 5 or 6 things that they have for requirements. And many of us women have like 15, 20. Totally normal. It is. Seriously, it is. But at the end of the day, we are not going to find a person that encompasses all of those things. And you can work on them within a relationship and try to get there. And so I always say at the end to pick 3 of those qualities that you are looking for, that you desire in a partner. Now, these things do not include what I consider as the things that you deserve, which is universal. So we take off, you don't put physical qualities or characteristics on the things that you deserve, because there are good men and women that don't fit specific physical qualities. or preferences, right? What's not on the list is a person being honest, because we all deserve to be, one, treated with respect, to not be lied to not be cheated on, and not to be abused emotionally, physically, or mentally. And so we don't put those things on that critical list of 3 things that you should have, that every person that is going to be invited into your world and into your heart, 3 things that they do need to meet. Sometimes I'll say 5, but I'll get you down to 3 eventually. So 3 to 5 things that are just vital to have in a person. And that may be, religious preference. It might be a certain amount of money. It could be, because that's just what you expect. Obviously you want someone with a job, a consistent job, a steady job, because that honestly is a huge issue that I have been seeing with women, is being with men who may have a job at one point, but they can't keep one, or when they don't have one, they don't get another one. Like, that's been a reoccurring issue that I've been seeing. To my surprise, I didn't know it was that prevalent. So that might be on your list. So things like that. So in whatever it is, it's particular to you, whatever you desire. But again, keeping those physical characteristics off that list. So that's one of the reasons why I chose the unrealistic expectations. The other reason is because yesterday I interviewed a young lady for the Platinum magazine, which is coming out in March. And just a beautiful person, stunning on the outside, and just this drawing personality in the way that she looked at relationships and her husband, how she got to her husband, how she got to marry him in that process. Their whole journey was just amazing, and it defied any expectations that we normally have. And I'll just tell you a little bit about it, and hopefully you can read the article next month when I go into detail, but I won't be able to put everything into the article, because what was supposed to be like a 10 to 15 minute interview ended up being like 45 minutes long, because I was just captivated by her story, but there's no way I can get all of that in the article. So background is that there was this guy that I went to law school with, but we never had any conversation. It's someone that I saw. Don't remember specifically anything about him. Probably would not have even remembered his name, except for the fact we ended up becoming Facebook friends. Never had any discussions or anything like that. So just over the years, just being Facebook friends, I would see pictures of him, his wife, and his family, his young family. And from the moment that I saw his wife, I just thought, wow, she's just like stunning. But what was even more drawing was that there was this significant height gap. The young woman, she is 5'9.5", beautiful. And her husband, the guy that I went to law school with, he is 5'4". And so it was obvious there's a significant height difference, right? And I always tell ladies, to rethink your height requirements, because there's only 13% of men in the U.S., or all over, I believe it is, 13% of men who are over 6 feet, right? And only 3% of men who are over 6'3" and taller. And so all the women want to go towards these tall men. I know, because I wanted to do the same thing. I thought I was going to marry a man who was like 6'3", 6'4", and was going to be an NBA player. And again, my husband is not, he's not even 6 feet. So I say that to say, because, love and good men and women just, again, come in different physical packages, different heights, different body shapes, all of that. And I know we have our preferences and how it looks. And a lot of times we can even meet someone who, we think it may not be the most attractive. And we wonder, like, oh my gosh, like, how are my family or my friends, how are they going to respond? And what are they going to say behind closed doors? Like, I know he may not be the most attractive. He may be too short. They're like going to say something about it. Maybe his teeth are messed up or whatever it is. Even though in the time that you have together, you guys have an amazing time, and this person makes you feel loved and appreciated and respected. We don't go all in because of what people will think. right? So with this couple, I saw this height difference. I've seen it for years. Like he's been this my classmate. He's been posting pictures of his wife all throughout the years, and I'm like, this man loves this woman, obviously. And what was even more drawing was she just looked amazingly happy in these pictures as well. And so I reached out to her to see if she would share her story, and eventually we connected and we got together yesterday and had an interview, and it was just amazing. Like you all have got to read this article and see the pictures, but there is so much love in this relationship. But they started off as friends. And I mean, she knew that he wasn't that tall, but she, was like, they were just friends in college, and it ended up being something more. Even after they tried to hook one another up with other people throughout the years, they ended up kind of dating. But with all good stories, there's lows. So they ended up breaking up. He was a really good guy to her. By the time he went to law school, she was graduating from college, so she had her first real job. And she was ready to settle down in her early 20s, but her future husband, was in law school, first year of law school, first semester, and any of you know who went to law school or med school or whatever it is, whatever postgraduate degree that you've gotten, it's demanding. And so he just couldn't focus at the time, so they ended up separating. She ended up getting in another relationship, which was really unhealthy and emotionally abusive, if nothing else. And it broke her, and it broke her spirit, and it broke her down. And she ended up some years later, through a mutual friend of her and her husband, future husband, they got back together. And she was no longer the same person that she was when she initially started dating my old classmate, law school classmate. And, she mentioned that, he said something to her. He was like, I have done everything that I could do, but you're not the same person as you were when we initially dated, or when you were in college. You're not the same person. And that triggered something in her mind. She was like, wow. She was like, I realized at that moment that I was still broken from my past relationship. Her past relationship was with a guy who was attractive, and he was tall, and he had a lot of money. But he also abused her emotionally, and he cheated on her, and he just made her feel horrible, just broke her down. So she ended up seeking counseling when her, soon-to-be husband, at this point, they were just dating. She started going to counseling because she realized that she can potentially lose this man who treated her so well, made her feel loved and respected and all that. She was about to lose him, and she didn't want to go back to what she experienced in her previous relationship. So she sought counseling. Didn't know that she needed it, but she sought it, and she, ended up blossoming again. And so they ended up getting married. They, her soon-to-be husband proposed, and they were engaged. And she started teaching. And on her first day of teaching, they'd moved back to a city where her husband had grown up. And so a lot of people knew who he was. And his mother was a teacher as well. So she's now teaching in a school, first time that his mother used to teach at. And so she goes to her first day of school teaching, and someone comes up to her. Another young lady comes up to her. She was like, hi, are you the one who is marrying one of the sons of this particular family? And the lady I was talking to, young lady, she said, yes, I am. And so the person that approached her, young lady who approached her, said, well, is it this son that you're marrying? Let's say it's Stephen. Is it Stephen that you're marrying? And the young lady was like, no, not marrying him. So this strange woman says, oh, well, is it like Mark? Are you marrying Mark? And she was like, no, I'm not marrying Mark. And there's one more son, which is her fiance. Well, is it Ralph? She was like, no. She said, well, surely it's not Ralph that you're marrying. And so, young lady that I was interviewing, she said, well, actually, yeah, he's my fiance. Ralph is my fiance. We're getting married. Like, why would you say that? And the stranger, we'll call her, says, well, isn't he shorter than you? And so young lady that I was interviewing, she said, well, yeah, he is. He was like, well, I don't know how you chose your husband, but I am marrying my husband, my soon-to-be husband, because he loves me and I love him, and he treats me well. Now, I'm not sure if you married your husband because of your height, but that's not why I chose my husband. And I just thought, wow, like that was a great comeback. Like, I don't know what I would have said in that situation, or what would you say in that situation? Because you're just thrown off from like a complete stranger just coming up to you and just like kind of questioning like who you're marrying for a very superficial reason. And it's just interesting because, again, the reason that I was drawn to them and I was drawn to her, the young woman that I was interviewing, was because of this drastic height difference that I saw in the pictures. But they just looked amazingly happy. And I wanted to know what that process was. Was it something that she thought about when she got with him? Did she think, oh, he's short? What will people think? What will people say? Or was it, just love at first sight? Like all of that. It was not, it definitely was a friendship that developed and that grew over years. But for her, it just was never a big thing because she's already tall for a woman at 5'9". And she had dated men who weren't necessarily super tall anyway. But again, she just loves her husband and she's so happy and she's so proud of him, and vice versa. He just like shows her off. You can just tell in the picture. So it was just a great story. And when I asked her, did any of your family members or anybody say anything about his height, when you guys were together? And she said, no one ever said anything to me personally. She said what my father said was, because she was raised Catholic, was, is he Catholic? Was the first question that he asked, is he Catholic? Because that was important. That's more important than anything. And it did not fit into a physical, it was not a physical thing. He didn't look at that. I can tell you, any of you know who my father is, if I, brought someone home that was like shorter than me, he would have something to say. My father would have said something. No doubt. And while I didn't necessarily date like all tall men, he would have thought, well, he's going to have problems like, maybe getting picked on because he's shorter, or he's going to have a complex, things like that. And if you guys have children, that child is going to have issues in school, maybe being bullied. They may not be good at athletic wise. And so my father definitely would have said that. So I just thought it was refreshing that she said the first thing her father said was, well, is he Catholic? Because that was most important. So she talks now. I think they've been married for over 10 years now. And she's a teacher. And her husband comes into the classroom. She said he comes in all the time, suited, and he's doing well professionally. Takes care of her and her son. So he comes in the classroom just, with a suit on and very professional, and brings the kids donuts and treats and snacks and stuff. And she mentioned how some of the kids are like, because every year, she teaches in elementary school. So every year it's a new set of kids. And so her students will always be like, your husband is shorter than you, or you're taller than him. And I love how she uses that moment. She can get defensive, but she doesn't. She uses it as a teaching moment. She said, well, yeah, I am taller than him or he's shorter than me. But love comes in different ways. Like, you can love someone of a different race. You can basically love someone of the same sex. Like, you can, like, love comes in different ways. And so, yeah, so in my particular marriage, I'm taller than my husband. And it's such a great teaching moment, right? And I think if we start learning those things at a younger age, just when we become older as a society, people won't be so judgmental. Like, we have in our heads, like, where do we get this? Like, we want to be with a tall man, or we have to be with a tall man. It's one of the first characteristics that a lot of people mention, a lot of women mention. And so I just thought it was just important to share that story and the unrealistic expectations sometimes that we have. These lists that we have, that have like 10, 15, 20 things. Nobody's going to live up to those lists. It's not possible. You have an image and then you meet this person and you're trying to check off things like, okay, yes, he has this, yes, he has this, yes, he has this. No, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have this. And they have no idea what that list looks like in your head, what the vision that you have in your head. There's no way they can live up to it. And so we have to start reevaluating and rethinking what are the important things in a person. And it's not something that you'll be able to see. It's not going to be in height. It's not going to be in attractiveness, but it's in their spirit, like their inner person, what their values are, how they treat you. It's in all of that. You may get all the physical characteristics that you want, but not some of the internal ones that you're looking for, that you deserve. And so just think back, or just think about that list that you have, the things that you want. Narrow it down to like 3 to 5 things. What's really important to you in a person, especially if you've been struggling in relationships and dating in relationships. If you're with someone right now, if they're not meeting those 3 things, reevaluate that relationship. Do you need to continue it? And we talked about situationships. Do we need to continue it? Or is it an unhealthy relationship that's not ever going to be what you need it to be? And it's hard sometimes to make those decisions, to make those moves, to make those changes. Like going from a list of 15 to 3, that's hard. But it's time to reevaluate, especially if you've been struggling. Do something a little bit different, right? Do something a little bit different. Reevaluate that height requirement. Like, seriously. Men don't have that issue. I remember a few weeks ago, I was talking to my husband about this whole, height thing and, women wanting tall men and vice versa. So I asked him, I was like, hey, have you ever dated anyone taller than you? And he was like, yeah, I dated one person. No, I dated 2. And I was like, if this dude say 3, like, we gonna have some discussions because I don't know about any of these people. He was like 2 people were taller than me. And I was like, okay, I'm good. When he got to like 2 and he started thinking again, I was like, okay, I'm good. Okay, I'm good. So yeah, just kind of rethinking. His rationale was, if you are a tall woman, 5'10", 5'11", you don't have a lot of like options when it comes to finding other men who will be taller than you. If you're like me, like 5'6", 5'5", I think the majority of men are going to be taller than you at 5'9", which is the average height of American men. So let's go with that. But yeah, you guys have got to check out this article. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And love just shines through. She loves that man and he loves her. And at the end of the day, that's what's important, because you go to bed with this person, you wake up to them, and you have to spend a life with them. So what matters is how they treat you and how they make you feel, because that's how you shine in the world. When you can come home to a place full of love with a person that admires you, loves you, respects you, is your friend that you can have fun with, laugh with, that's important. It's not important what people think on the outside. People will always have something to say. So again, it's just the point is just to kind of reevaluate those lists that we have, those requirements, and figure out what's really important. What's really important to you. As you know, you can always check out the website, myplatinumconnections.com. You know what? I don't even think I introduced myself in the beginning of this. So yeah, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Tamika Johnson, AKA the Matchmaking Attorney. I'm founder of Platinum Connections, the exclusive matchmaking agency for highly successful professionals. Visit the website, myplatinumconnections.com, if you want to learn more, again, about just the process and the services that we offer. Process, prices, prospects, how that all goes. Just schedule a session. Again, it's like a 15-minute call. You can ask all the questions that you have about it. If we go over, that's fine. And then if you're like, yeah, this sounds pretty good, next step, again, is a discovery session to ascertain whether you are matchable or not. If you're ready to be matched, and what other services that we have. The different levels of membership. You can be a database member. You can do a trial membership, or you just do the full annual matchmaking membership. So all the information is on the website. So we'll be back next Tuesday. Another juicy topic. Until then, have a great weekend, great weekend. We're getting close to spring, so hopefully it's going to be nice this weekend. Enjoy it. Do something fun. Do something different. Book a trip to go somewhere. You know, we're all kind of opening up. Do it safely. And be sure to check out the March issue of Platinum Magazine. It'll be on my social media pages. I'll also post it in the group. So until next time, make it a great day. Bye.